The Natural and Kurt Kaplan digging to get that. Roy Hobbs, I'm too old for this stuff, Pop. You get back in there. Dude, I listened to some of those speeches when I was in the minor leagues. I was like, what are you talking about? You make my head
Some
hurt.
2-bit carny.
Some 2-bit carny hypnotist, Pop. I can't do it. I don't have time. I just watched The Natural like a week ago. Man, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Because I played in that stupid stadium at War Memorial in Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
And it's when you're, whether I played at where they did 8 Men Out in Indianapolis or the old War Memorial, it really dates you when you're like, I played at that stadium for years. I played at that stadium. And they were awesome though, man. When the facilities were crap underneath in the guts, in the bowels of the stadiums, but the stadium itself, like the field, knowing how 100 years of sports have been played there. The Bills used to play football on there. OJ used to run around on that field with the Bills. The year he rushed for 2,000 yards in 14 games. I mean, some of the history that's been made. Wrigley. That's why I loved Wrigley so much. There's been so many ridiculous things that happened at Wrigley. So as an athlete, now you see it in movies, you're like, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
For the White Sox, they would love some of those cool moments.
Well, listen, as bad as they are, they're still being talked about. So it's not yes, it's an awful losing streak of 21 games now because the A's beat them last night. But hey, you're coming to the ballpark tonight to try to stop the streak. The A's are coming to the ballpark to try to keep the streak going. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was just watching this documentary on Pete Rose over the weekend.
The HBO one, yeah.
I'll never forget Eric Schau giving up 42, when he beat Ty Cobb's record. He ended up with 42-56. But when he beat Ty, and Eric Schau never got over it. Even went to the grave early because of it, got into drugs and alcohol. And one of the things he said, he just could not get his mind over it. Donnie Moore giving up the home run in the postseason to the Red Sox that cost the Angels a trip to the World Series. Could never get over that. And then ended up taking his own life. So a lot of these guys, man, that are in these historic moments, there's not that it's going to get to that point, hopefully.
No.
But for these guys, it's like, listen, dude, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to make history. So hopefully somebody tonight for the White Sox wants to put an end to this.
I mean, I would not know an Aussie showing ghost if it wasn't for the 20 and 134 Spiders of 1899.
Makes you look it up.
Kid Carsey and them boys, I wouldn't know anything about that team if they were average. They were so bad that in 2024, they got some dork in Connecticut looking up their whole roster yesterday. So someday, there's going to be a dork in some radio land somewhere looking up these 2024 White Sox and looking at what kind of losers were on this roster.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan Cannon goes for the White Sox tonight versus Ross Stripling.
The Cannon!
And so the Cannon versus the Stripling. And you know that the A's are doing everything they can to win. And in front of their home crowd, like I said, they're one game under 500 at home. They'd like to get that record to 29-29 and give these people something to cheer about. White Sox guys, I said this the other day, like they lost the lead in the fourth inning of last night's game. No fight left.
Yeah.
No fight to try to come back and win that ball game. So I'm flipping between that game and watching the Red Sox play the Kansas City Royals. Nothing but fight for the Red Sox. Nothing but fight for this Abreu, the right fielder. Grandmother died a couple of nights ago. He goes and he hits 2 home runs. These guys continue to play well. Duran, all these other guys, they're in it. They're in it to win it. And Kansas City's got a fight on their hands. And you turn to this other one. There's only one fighter in this fight, and that's the A's. And that's got to be the toughest thing for these White Sox coaches, White Sox management. It's like, how did we get here? That's another thing you have to assess moving forward.
I love gambling stats more than any other stat. My friend John Ashmead sent me this before the show. He got this from the Twitter feed of Baseball Doesn't Exist. If you bet $100 on the White Sox to lose back in July 10th and rolled that bet over all the way to last night's loss, that's 27 days of losing, you'd be the winner. $765,405 is what you'd be totaled up to right now, rolling that parlay over into tonight's game against the Cannon.
You know what's funny too? When I look at their numbers, Paul DeJong, who isn't even on the team anymore. I'm watching him last night in the Royals Red Sox. So the guy who was leading the White Sox in home runs doesn't even play for them anymore.
Nope. Still on the list though as team leader. Like if you
It's
go to
still
their
on the
website.
list. Closest to him. Oh my goodness, these guys are so awful.
Benintendi?
Andrew Vaughn with third. Now Benintendi, that dude, he just counts his money.
He
in
got
the locker room
the
every day.
lone RBI last night.
9 home runs, 34 hitting 206.
That's
Is
like
Benintendi way more than 206? I don't even think he's hitting his own weight.
right around the team average.
Highest paid White Sox in Chicago history. Highest paid contract ever, and it's Andrew Benintendi.
No way.
That was a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
We'll see tonight. Can they keep it going? Can they set a new AL record? Can they continue to chase the NL record? They are sitting on 21 straight losses. Another team that's really had a tough run here as of late, and the losing continues for this squad. Even last night, the Philadelphia Phillies dropped another one to the Los Angeles Dodgers,
who saw the return of Freddie Freeman and got a standing ovation in Philly. That's hard to get, but obviously he was crying before the game.
They were in L.A. They were in L.A.
They were in L.A.?
Yeah, they're in L.A.
Okay. So, you know what it was? It was Castellanos was like pumping his chest and stuff like that.
Oh, the Phillies gave him an ovation. Yeah. The Phillies were standing and clapping.
But, he teared up. He was talking about Maximus. He's got a long road ahead of him to recover from everything that just happened. But, Phillies are in a deep valley right now of futility.
Yeah, they've lost a lot, and this goes even before the All-Star break, trying to get it back here tonight against the Dodgers once again. I do think, as you were saying that about Abreu and his grandmother passing away and the Red Sox rallying around him, I think this Freddie Freeman #MaxStrong is going to carry the Dodgers all the way through.
They have that new shirt that they're all wearing and stuff like that. And again, like it's just like you talked about the brawls in the NFL or even brawls in baseball, things like that. Galvanize a team when one of your family. And listen, most of the guys are dads in that locker room.
Right.
Most of the guys have children, and if they don't, they have relatives that they know are children, nieces and nephews and stuff. So anytime a young child gets that deathly ill, where they're on a ventilator, and oh my God, you don't even want to think about that kind of stuff. It's going to bring your team together, and guys are going to fight harder for you.
Yeah, and the post-game presser where Freddie gets really emotional, like if you haven't seen that, I would say watch that clip if you want to know a little bit about the emotional status of this cat. As every time he takes the batter's box, like it's got to be running through his head. So the Dodgers, they are stronger than ever right now, and they have another one against the Phillies tonight. We'll see how that goes. Shohei leads in all categories right now for the Dodgers. 34 home runs, that's top of the pile, 81 RBI, and 309 with his average. Dude just continues to tear it up all over the place. Yankees get back to baseball tonight. They'll take on the Angels. Should see some should-win games. Should win.
Actually, postponement for the Yanks tonight.
No!
Inclement weather, dude, coming up the Eastern Seaboard.
That might be a thing all week.
Yeah.
That might be a thing all week.
By the way, Phillies 3-9 in their last 12. Not good. Not good.
I'm just wondering what this
their lead now 5.5 over the Braves.
Is it a hurricane yet or still a tropical storm? Tropical storm Debbie? I'm just wondering what Debbie.
Tropical storm Debbie.
What is Debbie going to do to the East Coast when it comes to baseball this week? We may have double headers. We may have early games. We may have to move some things to September. We shall see. But that's going to be a thing.
I put this on my Instagram. Jackie Robinson statue is back and bigger and better than ever.
The Kansas City League that it was stolen from. Gosh, what a horrible
bunch of dirtbags.
Bunch of dummies.
Yeah.
They hack off Jackie Robinson's statue at the ankles, and they
leave his shoes.
I think they thought it was copper, or they thought it was a valuable bronze. They didn't. They realized. I don't know when they realized this, but somehow they realized we ain't ever going to get any money for this, and they chopped it up and threw it into a dumpster. And then
they burned it. They tried to melt it down and get rid of the evidence.
But that didn't work.
They're one of the most embarrassing criminals.
Yeah. There's a reason why they're criminals, and they're that stupid. But the Jackie Robinson statue, they raised enough money, like immediately.
Took
Like
6 months to get a new one, but
And that was because it got made. Like, it takes a while to get made, but they were ready to buy it about a week after it happened because everybody in the Wichita, Kansas community rallied together to get this back.
So the guy that originally did it, they were able to get. He died. This guy Parsons died in 2022.
The sculptor,
the
right?
Sculptor, but they still had the mold. So Art Castings of Colorado, an art foundry 50 miles outside of Denver, they recreated the original statue.
Dylan Betances, CC Sabathia, Jeremy Guthrie, Mike Pelfrey, all in attendance when the statue got put back. Isn't that cool?
And Rick Aldretti, 45, hides in shame in some cell
Oh,
somewhere.
that's his name? Rick Aldretti, huh?
Sentenced to 15 years.
Ricky!
Multiple cases on Friday. Just, dude, seriously, get your life in order, dude.
So what were you guys talking about during the break? We're going to the Bristol Motor Speedway with Major League
Bristol
Baseball?
Motor Speedway in 2025, the Braves and Reds will play a regular season Major League game, which means they will probably have to build a new stadium there or a new baseball facility somewhere on the grounds at Bristol Racetrack. Now, how big is the infield at Bristol Racetrack in Tennessee?
Well, it's only a half mile.
So they probably can't do it there. So it'll probably be outside the grandstands, you think?
I would have to imagine. But there's nothing is level around there.
It is like the mountains, it's like the Smokies, right? I thought you said the Red Sox during the break. This makes a lot
Reds.
more
No,
sense.
the Reds and the Braves.
Braves. That
Reds
makes a
and
lot
Braves.
more sense, and it's kind of wedging right there in Nashville, where we've always talked about that other Major League Baseball expansion team going. I like this stuff, man. I'm
And
always
what a time
interested.
to announce it.
What a time to announce it. I'm always interested just how they pull it off, though. Like whether it's the Field of Dreams. You were talking about the military game, Fort Bragg.
Yep.
That was so cool. I tried to get a part of that. I think that
It'll
was
be August 2nd, 2025.
the Fort Bragg one. They did not let anyone in. No media, nothing. I think ESPN was the only one who had any kind of credentials because they made it all military. If you were not military, you could not go to that baseball game. And just knowing from the Fort Bragg, they kept that field there so the fort could use it. The Air Force.
This also pumps up NASCAR. I mean, it's a huge thing all over different stories and stuff. So the two major league teams will play at Bristol Motor Speedway August 2nd, 2025.
So we do have baseball around the country, just don't know about on the East Coast. I'm just trying to find some more information. Red Sox are on the road. Mets are on the road, so that's good. Yeah, Yankees right now postponed. They're not even going to try today, right?
No, you don't want fans trying to get there if it's going to be like a hurricane conditions and stuff. Too dangerous. A lot of bad weather. I was watching stuff last night. I know you were watching. At the end, there was like two hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
Together, two eyes that they were looking at, and they're like, "Yeah, this is like a perfect storm." So it's like, yeah, there's never a really good perfect storm that does damage.
So no Yankees baseball. So yours truly is going to have to do some finagling. This has been an enlightening segment for me.
Yes, it has been.
Most
As program
likely,
director, your job's never over.
well, this is the Angels because, in Manfred ball, you don't see the Angels.
no, you don't
much.
play them that much.
And if you're going to force it to
And
be.
they can't like stay around, and I'd have to look up the Angels next scheduled date if they don't have an off day where they could stay an extra day and do a doubleheader.
We got to do 2 tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
I think we're doing 2 tomorrow. I don't know how they're going to fix it, how they're going to make it happen, but they got to. I don't know what we're going to do. This is another problem with the interleague all the time schedule. I know this isn't an interleague game, but when you add these interleague matchups,
Yep.
like you take away all these potential.
No
makeups.
off day. So Thursday they would play a night game against the Yankees, and their next one is Friday versus the Nationals at 6:45 in
So they've
Washington.
got to stay here in the East Coast for that trip. So
Right. So they're on the East Coast. Then they go home versus Toronto. So they don't really have any off days. And they play Sunday. It's a day game. It's actually at 11:35 a.m. so that they can get home to play a night game versus Toronto on the 12th.
Nick tells me we have a double tomorrow, 4 and 7. Is that correct? 4 and 7.
I'm looking at 4:05 first pitch right here. That makes sense. Now, here's the next question for you, fellas. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all week.
Supposed to rain all week.
All week. We need a dome. We need a dome.
Let's digest some of this stuff in the break. We'll come back and do Dibbles and Pitch.